What's up, guys? This is Ian here, coach of your Ladner Lanturn, bringing you guys our Week 1 team builder for the aABL, or the A-Drive Army Battle League. In the Red League in particular, you'll notice if you're watching this team builder, I know not a lot of people actually watch my team builders, but if you're watching, you'll notice that the format has changed a little bit in terms of the layouts. Um, I'm going to start doing this, I think, with the logos. I like seeing the logos, and it's a good thumbnail. It'll turn into a good thumbnail. Maybe. Um, got the nice little Red League logo down there in the corner too, along with the usual, the speed and the team. So, we're playing DDanley and his Anaheim Psyducks. So let's run through what his team is. So he's got Hoop Unbound, which is a Z user, Breloom, Cobalion, Araquanid, Cryogonal, Jellicent, Claydol, Mega Manectric, Salamence, which is a Z user, Chansey, Comfey, and Flareon, which is also a Z user. He has priority in Breloom with Mach Punch, Cryogonal with Ice Shard, Flareon with Quick Attack, and Comfey with Triage. He has Hazard Setting in Cobalion with Stealth Rock, Araquanid with Sticky Webs, Claydol with Stealth Rock, and Chansey with Stealth Rock. He has removal in Cryogonal with Rapid Spin and Defog, Claydol with Rapid Spin, Salamence with Defog, and Comfey with Defog. He has a 4x weakness in Hoopa to Bug, Breloom to Flying, and Salamence to Ice. Excuse me. Looking through his team, actually first I just want to shout out his team name because I used to be a big Anaheim Ducks fan for some weird reason. Assuming that he's going off of the sports team, it's a fantastic name and I absolutely love it. The logo doesn't necessarily reflect that, but it's also a really cool logo. So shoutouts to DDanley for that. What we've got going on here is his team. So what do I think he's going to bring against me? I think Hoop is coming for sure. It was his first overall pick. I think it makes sense for him to bring. I do have a Selgor that kind of just like beats it, and I have a lot of U-turn. a lot of U-turn. Flygon, Serena, Incineroar, Selgor, and Ampom. It's 5 Pokemon that get U-turn, so he might be scared out by that. Breloom, I don't know if it comes. It can't beat Skarmory, like, ever. It kind of beats Rotom Wash, kind of deals with Flygon, maybe. Can't really beat Serena. It beats Incineroar, kind of. It can't beat the Selgor, can't beat Girder, can't beat Mega Gardevoir, beats Weavile, can't beat Nidoking, can't beat Dusclops, and it beats Ambipom. So it's kind of a mixed bag for me on Breloom. I think he might bring it. I think that there's some other higher priority things that he might want to bring instead of Breloom, just because of how slow it is against my team, which is like relatively fast. Cobalion I think is coming, Araquanid I think is coming, Cryogonal is another iffy one for me. If he brings it, it's going to be a remover for sure, although I have something there in case he wants to bring an Aurora Veil variant. Jellicent I think is coming, I think it walls a lot of my team. Claydol I think has a bad matchup, not sure if that would come. It's good in a sense for removal options, but Incineroar beats it, Serena beats it. It can switch into Flygon relatively well. It can switch into Rotom, but then Rotom beats it. Mega Gardevoir beats it. Weavile beats it. Nidoking beats it. Essentially, it switches in on the Earth Power, but then Nidoking just kills it with an Ice Beam. Ambipom beats it. Dusclops beats it. So, on the Claydol. Mega Manectric, I think, has to come. I think Mega Manectric is 100% of the time coming. Salamence, I also think 100% of the time is coming. Chansey, I think 100% of the time is coming. Chansey walls my special attackers very, very well. I do have quite a few physical attackers that maybe threaten it, so maybe he won't bring Chansey, but we've got a specific set designed to beat the Chansey. Comfey is a maybe for me. Flareon's a maybe for me. Flareon, meh, maybe not so much of a maybe. Flareon's probably just not coming at all. So, let's go through my team then. First thing we've got is Mask, our Selgor, Focus Sash, a Selgor with Sticky Hold to keep the Sash. I don't know why I need that necessarily, but I'm running it anyways. Actually, maybe Unburden's better. I might change that before the battle, maybe Unburden's better. Running double spikes with Bug Buzz and Final Gambit, so Bug Buzz is there in case he wants to lead Hoop Unbound. I will just kill that thing right off the bat. Got some spikes and toxic spikes. His removal options I think have very poor matchups against me, and Salamence doesn't really run defog. I don't think Comfey would come with defog because it's not priority for it, so it's kind of... I mean, things that get defog that aren't weak to rocks are really good, so Comfey might fit in there. I'm bringing Dusclops, as you can see on the screen, so I have 2 spin blockers for Cryogonal and Claydol, although Cryogonal could also run defog. The plan is to hazard stack him to death because his removal options aren't very good against my team, excuse me. Arachnid running webs could be an issue. My team's not a huge fan of webs. However, it might not matter. I might end up just changing a move on Flygon in a bit to kind of deal with that. I didn't draft a spinner, so... Sorry, I did draft a spinner, but we're not bringing a spinner this week. And yet Hazard Stack is the play, but I don't know. Webs might be a problem. I don't really know. I don't really care. Spikes and Toxic Spikes do so much to his team. Just one layer of T-Spikes is probably what I'll try and get up, along with a layer or 2 of Spikes. If all a Selgor does is threaten the Hoop Unbound and have and get 2 layers of Spikes and a T-Spike up, I would be so happy. I don't know if I can actually get that, but if I can like threaten the Hoopa, drop a T-Spike, get up a Spike on the switch, live on Sash, get up another Spike, I would be okay with that. We're running a lot of speed on here. This is enough speed to outrun the Mega Manectric. It's the fastest thing on his team, and a Selgor outspeeds it because the Selgor is the fastest thing in the entire league. Max special attack to get more to my Bug Buzz. Don't really need it anywhere else, and I dropped the rest in HP. Again, not the biggest deal. Spike stacking and Selgor are really good. Next up is Skarmory, our physical wall. We're bringing a very physically defensive Skarmory with a tiny bit of speed. Just talk about the speed real quick here. Skarmory speed ties with Breloom normally, so if he wants to bring like a Toxic Heal, max HP, max attack set, we're gonna slightly outspeed that. If for some reason he wants to stay in on us, we're also packing the Brave Bird, which is my best attack against his team. His electric resist is his flying resist is Mega Manectric. He has very poor flying resist on this team to cover for the Breloom, and I'm going to try and use that. However, Mega Manectric does threaten me quite a bit, but I've got the rocks there to help with the hazard stack. Rocks are going to do work against his team, obviously. Spikes are going to do more because most of his team's grounded. He's got the Salamence, Claydol, and the Cryogonal that are all flying, kind of. That would avoid the spikes, and rocks hit 2 of those super effectively, so that's good. Got the Roost on there for our own recovery and Whirlwind in case he wants to try and set up on me with a Salamence or a Cobalion or a Breloom, and that's about it that gets set up, I think. Comfey technically. Hoopa doesn't really get set up, so I'm not super scared of that. Yeah, that's kind of Skarmory's job. ACA, just be a physical wall, especially for the Salamence. That's the main goal. He might bring like a Fire EMZ Salamence or something like that to break me. It might do the work. I'm not sure. I've got some other checks for Salamence later. So we're bringing Phantom, the Dusclops with the Violite, Main Look, Rest, Toxic, and Nightshade. I want to give a shout out to Jay for the moveset on this. He built an EV spread too that I wasn't a huge fan of, so I'm running it with a different EV spread. Mean Look, Rest, Toxic, and Nightshade. Now, Mean Look is there to trap the Chansey in. Rest is there in case he wants to Toxic me with Chansey. Toxic is for me against the Chansey, and Nightshade hits literally everything else on his team for 100 damage every single time. So that's actually just some really consistent damage that Dusclops doesn't really have. Like, Dusclops doesn't really have the power output with its attacking stats, but Nightshade just gives it consistent damage that is good chip against everything. Yeah, that's basically the strat. Any of his walls, this Dusclops can just trap in and kill, especially with the Rest for myself, in case like the Jellicent or the Chansey want to pull off those kind of shenanigans. I would normally say that this is fine against the Arachnid. Excuse me. I could trap the Arachnid with this too, but I kind of can't because I'm running Spit F variant. Now, I wanted to sort of split the defenses on the Dusclops initially, but I realized that it's probably better for me to just have a dedicated physical switch in Skarmory and a dedicated special switch in the Dusclops. is kind of the play that I'm working with here. We'll see how well it works out for me, but that's kind of the strat. Got the rest there for the nice recovery. With max HP, max special defense, and sassy nature, and I've got a little bit of defense in there. In case I do need to fill a defensive role, I still will very well because of the aABL, and just because of how naturally bulky Dusclops is. So that's kind of the role that Dusclops is filling. Next up is Diamant, our Weavile, bringing a Choice Banded Weavile. This kind of decimates his team, I'm not going to lie. He doesn't have... Like, Cobalion's his Dark Switch in, I think? So I'm bringing coverage for that. And then maybe Breloom? Maybe? Like, Banded Knockoff kind of just tears through most of his team. To a certain degree, Banded Ice Shard can tear through most of his team once they start getting chipped down by hazards and stuff like that. Banded Brick Break is there for the Chansey and the Cobalion. It's mainly there for the Cobalion trying to switch in on a knockoff. Brick Break can also help if the Cryogonal has a Veil up, then we'll break it with the Brick Break. Claydol also gets screens. Trying to identify, I think Hoopa gets screens. Comfey might get screens, so just in case he's got screens, I've got the Brick Break there. Icicle Crash just for some good damage. It's gonna, I mean, Icicle Crash is there kind of just to poke a hole in his team. It's gonna destroy the Breloom, destroy the Salamence if it wants to switch in, which it won't against Weavile. But maybe if he wants to intimidate me, then he's still taking a neutral Icicle Crash to the face, and Weavile's really strong. We can actually afford to run Adamant. Let's talk about the EV spread here. The speed that we're hitting is 347, which outspeeds max speed Cobalion by 1 point. So if he's not Scarf Cobalion, we're outrunning it, which is his second fastest Pokemon on the team, which lets us run Adamant max attack, which means these knockoffs are going to hurt. They're going to smack some things around. Got some HP investment on there, which is odd because we're an Ice type, so we're going to take super effective damage from Stealth Rocks, and then we have 4 left in special defense because it's our exciting stat. Oh, pardon me, yawns are contagious. Next up is Flygon. I needed a Scarfer against this team, and Flygon just kind of fit the bill pretty well. I needed a Scarfer to sort of outspeed the Mega Man Electric if necessary, a Scarfer that would outspeed the Hoop Unbound if that was Scarfed as well, and a Scarfer that could potentially take on the Salamence at +1, which Flygon hit all of those boxes. So we're bringing the Flygon with Choice Scarf, Moosh, our Fly here, with Earthquake, Outrage, U-Turn, and Iron Tail. Now, as much as I love the Hazard stack against this team, I feel like I might need to change one of these moves out for Defog, just to get rid of the webs. The only things that suffer from webs are Weavile and Gardevoir, but they're both really important parts of my team. So I'm thinking I'm going to switch out Iron Tail for Defog now. Nice live edit. Earthquake hits his whole team neutrally, Earthquake hits his whole team, bar Cryogonal, Salamence, and Claydol. Outrage hits all 3 of those. U-Turn is there for some good momentum, also to threaten the Hoopa. Most Flygons carry U-Turn. I'm not sure if he'd be scared of that or not. Maybe. We'll see. Defog, obviously, get rid of the webs. Be nice to get rid of rocks if he wants to get up rocks as well, just for the Weavile, and sort of for breaking my Skarmory Sturdy. That'd be kind of annoying. We're running a max speed set with max attack. This lets us speed tie with Scarfed Salamence, Scarf Comfey. Also, if he's Dragon in Salamence, we'll speed tie to +1. Not really relevant past that, because we're not going to speed Rock Polish Cobalion or anything like that, so that's kind of the play there. Last but not least, we're going to talk about Gardevoir Magnifique. Bring a Trace set, so it's important. Gardevoir's starting ability is important to decide between Synchronize and Trace, and I thought the Trace would do me better, just because he's got an Intimidate core going on there with Mega Man Electric and the Salamence. We can kind of, like, if the Salamence is locked into Outrage, then obviously we can switch in our Gardevoir on it. And then we'll trace the Intimidate anyways. Not necessarily the biggest of deals. Excuse me. But tracing the Mega Manectrix Intimidate could be useful. Um, I don't know, maybe like Magician or Technician maybe for some reason. Poison Heal even. Um, we do have to Mega first turn, so the trace isn't that important, but I didn't feel like that he was going to status me enough that I needed to synchronize. So we're running with the trace. Even like Water Absorb, we could like trace Jellicent's Water Absorb and switch it on a Water attack if it wants to go for a Water attack for some reason. We're not bringing any Water Resists, so it's entirely possible that he would. We're running, I'll go over the EV spread here first. We're running max speed, max special attack. Once Gardevoir is Mega Evolved, it hits base 100 speed, so we're speed tying with the Salamence and the Comfey at neutral. Max special attack because Gardevoir just hits like an absolute truck, and then I'm investing a little bit into Spadaf as well. We don't take physical hits very well because that's just how Gardevoir is, kind of paper on the physical side, and is very bulky on the special side, but we should be able to tank some hits at least. Hyper Voice tears through everything on his team, not named Chansey. That's about it, actually. Maybe Araquanid too. Araquanid can probably take a hit. Maybe Cryogonal. For those, we have Psyshock. I thought about like a sub-com mindset this time, but we're actually running. I'm running sub because I think sub is like a useful third slot move for Mega Gardevoir, especially against this team, because I threaten things out like the Breloom almost instantaneously because I will outspeed it and OHKO it with a Hyper Voice. Excuse me. I threaten some things out like Salamence once it's locked into a Dragon move, and I can just sub up on the turn that it's like locked into Outrage or something on me. Will-O-Wisp is there to hit the physical attackers with a burn. Obviously we cannot burn the Araquanid, but I'd like to burn something like a physical Hoopa, like a Cobalion, like a Breloom. Be nice to burn all of those. I just thought that since physical attackers threaten Mega Gardevoir a little bit more, I'd love to burn those things. If he brings Flareon, obviously we can't just like throw Will-O-Wisp out there, because he could be the Flash Fire variant of Flareon, which just boosts his fire attacks, so I might just start clicking Hyper Voice at the beginning and see where it goes. And that's the team, so I'm hoping this goes well. I built this like far in advance, but I'm not sure if transactions are active for week 1 anyway. I think they're active for week 2. So we'll see how the match goes, and I don't know how much experience DDanley has. We'll see. We'll sort of see. I'm not super confident in the build, but I found the matchup was like relatively difficult and relatively easy at the same time. Like I kind of just wanted to bring like 8 different mons. Actually, maybe I'll talk about the ones that I'm not bringing quickly here. So, because this is a 12 Pokemon League, I'm not going to bring 6 things instead of 5. So, Rotom Wash, I thought about bringing Rotom Wash. Mega Manectric beats it, Breloom beats it. It was okay. It was a good defogger against his team. Hydro Pump hits a lot of his team for neutral damage, and Volt Switch hits the rest pretty well. I thought about bringing like a Specs variant of Rotom Wash too. Excuse me. It was a good pivot for my team, but I decided to go with a Dusclops set instead. Serena, I wanted to bring a spinner for my Hazard stack, but I ended up not going with Serena because Salamence beats it, Mega Manectric runs coverage for it, Cryogonal beats it, Hoopa beats it, Araquanid kind of beats it, Flareon beats it. So I kind of just, I didn't find necessarily that it could do much in the game besides beating the Jellicent. And the goal with that is kind of to get in on my my Dusclops and trap it and kill it that way as well. Hopefully I don't get curse bodied, but I'm not going to make contact with anything, so it wouldn't matter if I would get curse bodied. And Weavile kind of just beats it with a knockoff too. Obviously I can't switch in on like a Will-O-Wisp or anything like that with Weavile, but if I can pivot with Flygon maybe, I'm not sure. Incineroar, again, another Pokemon that had an okay matchup. I feel like Cobalion's coming though, and that was kind of my problem with Incineroar, is that I can't just like freely click Darkest Lariat, even though it seems extremely free against his team. He doesn't have a very big fire weakness. He's got some good fire resists for his fire weak Pokemon, and yeah, I don't know. I just didn't feel like Incineroar needed to come, you know? Like, it wasn't that important to me that Incineroar showed up in this match. Girder I was playing with a lot because it beats the Chansey 1v1. It also beats the Cryogonal 1v1. It can't beat the Jellicent necessarily without knockoff. And it kind of loses to things like Mega Manectric and Hoopa, which I was scared about. It kind of loses to Claydol too, kind of. So I'm not sure about Girder. Maybe it could have been a bring. Nidoking, again, could have been a really good bring. I feel like this is going to be a solid problem that I have the entire season, is that I just want to bring too many things out of my 12 because they all have good matchups. And that's one of the problems I see with having a 12 Pokemon draft over an 11 Pokemon draft, is that it's less of a they have a good matchup and more of a this Pokemon has a good matchup, but so do these other 6. So Nidoking could have filled the role of a really good breaker this week. I don't know, like with him having webs, I felt like it wasn't really worth me bringing Nidoking. Ambipom, I thought this team is kind of Ambipom food, but again, the rest of the team just sort of filled out how it did. I could have brought like Ambipom or Nidoking, both as Scarfers, over the Flygon, but I ended up going with the Flygon because I feel like it can check the Mega Manectric a little bit better than the other two can. Obviously, the Mega Manectric's probably going to pack the HP Ice. I only have like 2 4x weaknesses on the team, and that's Flygon to Ice and Weavile to Fighting. He has 2 fighting types, so I think he'll bring at least one of them for that. Excuse me. I think Cryogonal's coming, and I think Mega Manectric's going to carry HP Ice. So that's probably enough out of me. Hopefully the new layout looks a little bit more visually appealing, and I will catch you guys for the battle.